I think we're both annoying each other already because I can't stop singing the Blue Danube, and Chris keeps making jokes about feeling hungry. So I think we're going to just really annoy each other.
Just do that when you go through passport control. They'll love it.
Oh, I was just thinking that's the perfect routine because I bet you they've got a great sense of humour. I feel like no matter what passport control you go through, they have managed to find like the durest people in that particular city to operate the desks.
Oh, it's a requirement. I mean, I remember going through New York. I just knew that there was no levity to be had at all, apart from the fact that we've been standing there for the best part of an hour to go through. But there was no joking to be had at all with the people, and they just let you know with a glance that there wasn't to be any fucking around. Otherwise, you would be detained and strip searched. Yeah.
I always laugh when we flew back from Reykjavik. So our flight was delayed by, I think, maybe 3 or 4 hours coming home. So we got home really late back into Edinburgh, not even Glasgow, Edinburgh. And I'd kind of slept on and off on the plane. And I always remember my passport wouldn't scan on the way back in. So I get taken aside into a room. And Chris was like, I could see that you were tired. Crabbit, your hair was like sticking out at one side because the way you'd been lying. He's like, they were just escorting you into this room while he sailed through. And he's like, I genuinely didn't know if you were coming out the other side. So, yes.
Oh dear.
Well, I mean, he was on his way to baggage claim. He'd made it through. So I think it was just a case of, she makes it, she makes it.
Jinx.
They just wanted to check that my passport was a proper passport, but then like apparently it was the gate because whoever came behind me, none of their passports would scan as well. So I was like, see, other people broke it as well.
Yeah, it sometimes happens that way. It happened with me when I was coming back from Portugal a couple of months ago, and everybody else, there was 6 of us, and I was the last one going through one of these automatic gates, and it just didn't work for me. And then all of them stopped working. All of the gates stopped working at the same time, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So we all had to queue up and get our passports checked manually. So it was like,
and they're only too happy to do it manually, as you know.
Yes, yeah. Well, there was only like, I think 2 desks open or something, and obviously with the fact that the automatic ones weren't working, it was very busy. And there was a lot of crabby people and a lot of people saying, I've got to go on a flight here. And they were just going, nope, you wait in the queue. There wasn't any of this. Or, you know, if your flight's in 10 minutes,
got a connection.
No. It was, no. I'm sorry, you have to wait in the queue. So,
shit. Oh, you'd be absolutely raging.
I came close to missing the flight because of that. I was like one of the last people actually on the plane. Just because.
Did you get a round of applause when you walked on?
No. I mean, you're talking about EasyJet here, you know. There's no communal spirit to be had in an EasyJet flight.
I love that. I love when they put out the passenger announcements and then like they finally appear or whatever. And obviously it is annoying because it is holding you up, but when they finally appear in the plane and everyone's like, way, I do like that. I don't like people who clap when they land, but I like that sort of let's all come together to take the piss out of somebody who couldn't make it from A to B in an enclosed area.
Yeah, I've never understood that clapping when you land, but you know, they're doing their job. and they did exactly what they're supposed to do. They got the plane up, they got the plane back down again, you know.
Yes. I mean, that is a skill. Obviously, there's no denying that. That is
but they are trained for quite a while to do that, you know.
Yes.
It's the same idea as, and you'll have seen this as well, like see when you go to shows, like live shows and stuff like that, not like concerts, like stage shows and things like that. And especially opera. Opera's the worst for it. They have ovations and they go on and there's like 3 and 4 curtain calls and all that. And you're saying, yeah, they got up there and sang. It was okay. It wasn't worth standing for 5 minutes clapping. It was all right, you know. But it's standard that you have to do this now. And you're just going, come on, you know.
Even in some films now, though, because when we were at the cinema, I was at last Friday. I felt like some people, I thought I heard like the starting of an applause. Nobody took it up right enough, but I've seen it before, even at cinema, where people have applauded at the end of a film. And some you're like, you do know that they can't hear or see.
Yeah, it's different if it's a festival or something, but you know, not.
Of course, yeah.
Not Silverburn, you know.
Well, that was the first time I've been in their IMAX screen last Friday. It's enormous.
Wow.
Like, it generally, we booked the back row because I feel I always like to book the back row centre to try and get the best possible like view of the screen. But I didn't realise that I was setting off on like a 3-day trek to get to.
Yeah. With IMAX, I tend to go somewhere in the middle because then you're basically surrounded by screen. There's no, you can't see any border at all. And you don't have to like crane your neck up. The front rows, you're having to crane your neck up. But sort of the middle, you're kind of, it's like you're looking at proper, when you're looking at a screen, you're supposed to be at eye level with the screen and all this for your back and all that nonsense. But all that scientific nonsense. But yeah, I kind of like it in the middle with the IMAX just because.
Oh, I definitely should have booked the middle seats because, as I say, I was knackered by the time I got to the top. I was like, where is row O? I can't make it any further. And then all I could think was, I hope I don't have to pee during this because I'll never make it back up.
I know. You need climbing gear to get back, yeah.
I actually did see a woman strutting about Eaglesham for some bizarre reason with walking poles yesterday because obviously it's like really hazardous terrain here. And that did make me think I should have brought them to the cinema because it was like on an incline like that. So.
I only think I've been in one of the big screens in Silver one, but I've not been in the IMAX one. I think it was one of the main ones.
I think it's new.
All right, okay. But the one I was in was fairly hefty. It was a big old screen, lots of seats in it and stuff. But no, I'd be interested to go and see that. I take it they had to pay a wee premium in order to get that.
£5 each, which is fine, which is absolutely fine because super screen's what, £3 or whatever, and obviously it's the IMAX screen. I would say it was worth it. It was Alien Romulus we went to see. I definitely think for a big kind of blockbustery film like that, it probably is worth it.
Yeah, they're kind of made for those sort of screens. Although I saw Oppenheimer at the IMAX in Glasgow, and obviously that's mostly people talking in rooms.
Yes.
But it still worked really well on IMAX, obviously because there's a bit of an explosion as well.
Yes.
During it. So
just a small one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the way they filmed it, yeah. Nice.
Anyone who was expecting anything dramatic was probably sorely disappointed in that.
Yeah. Aye. But all done practically. Well done, Chris. Yeah. Doing a grand job there.
I read a tweet or something the other day and it was like, I hope Christopher Nolan never does like a demon movie or something. And they were like, because that motherfucker would actually resurrect someone because he wouldn't want to use CGI.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. It really wouldn't.
I know. He's committed to the bit.
How was Alien Romulus without giving anything away? Because I've not seen it yet.
Do you know, and I'm going to sound like I'm not a very good follower of film because I've only ever seen the first Alien film. Right?
Yeah, fair.
But I really, really enjoyed it in the sense that there was proper jump. In fact, that's not true. I've seen Prometheus and Covenant, but I mean, like in the original. Yep. I really enjoyed it. There was moments where I absolutely jumped out my skin. I think that the tension is built really well. There's lots of like really good use of obviously throwbacks to different films in the franchise, rather. I think the guy that plays the AI, that's not a spoiler, he's immediately established as an AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is phenomenal because there's a kind of, it's a very, very different role and the way he does it is really, really good. I think in a way there's probably too much homage, but I don't think it stops it. I don't think it stops it being really enjoyable. Like I did think it was a really, really good film, and to this day, I will always be terrified of the little facehuggers crawling along the floor because just that noise makes me feel sick. So I think it's really well done. I think there's obviously a lot of care going into it. I think there's a lot of fan service going into it. But I think as I say, I've only seen like those 3 films. You don't have to have seen all of them to appreciate it, which I think is a bonus in this day and age.
Yeah, there's, like you say, there's probably enough in it that you can get a bit of fan service in there, but I take it as a sort of standalone story that you can just watch it and not have any real knowledge of what's gone before, apart from the sort of the highlights that everybody knows about, as in like facehuggers and I think that's the thing with an Alien film, and I think that's why I was quite impressed with it, because there's one particular issue that a lot of people have said this was wrong that they did this, and I totally agree. But I think with a film like Alien,
where is the surprise, right? Because everybody's looking for the chest buster or stuff like that.
Yep.
So I think the fact that it does actually manage to build tension is quite an achievement, because what else are you looking for? But yeah, you don't have to, as I say, it's set in between Alien and Aliens, but I genuinely believe you could go into this having never seen any of the films before.
Yeah. Good. That sounds good. I read an interview with the guy who plays the android character. He's a really good actor. I've seen him, and he was in TV show Industry a couple of years ago, which was good. It's on BBC iPlayer just now still.
He was in a Marple, which I saw, which is so random, like a Marple story.
And he was in Rye Lane, film from last year, sort of a romantic comedy drama.
I remember you mentioned this before, actually.
Yeah, that's on Disney just now. I think Disney
give it a wee look.
partly financed, and it's a cracking movie, and it's like less than 90 minutes long, so it's really good. He's the male lead in the film, and he's very good in it. He's quite a versatile actor, so it would be quite interesting to see what he actually does. And it said like he'd obviously looked at the previous android roles that were in the Alien films, and he says I just didn't want to do anything like those at all, just sort of create something of my own rather than trying to. He says, like, how am I going to copy Michael Fassbender, really, how am I going to copy
playing the
flute? Yes. Yeah. Classic. Yeah.
Yes, I did watch a few reviews afterwards. The guys from Red Letter Media absolutely savaged it in a way that I thought was actually quite unfair.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Mark Kermode review, and he was a lot more balanced. And I felt like, so if I had to give it like a star rating or something, it's like a solid like 3.5 out of 5. And the stuff that he sort of picked up on that didn't quite work, I thought, yeah, that's absolutely fair. I think that there are a lot of people who are thrashing it because they seem to be doing, as it were. Like, I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as some of the reviews that I've read. It felt like they'd watched a completely different film.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's pretty poor. I hate that when you see reviews of stuff and it's it's people who obviously have got no interest in the particular genre or something like that, and they're going into it without really an open mind. They've made their mind up before because they don't like horror films or they don't like superhero films, so therefore they're just going to trash it. And you got to wonder why are they even bothering taking on the assignment? Why don't they give it to somebody else?
And what's interesting is all of the bad reviews that I've read have always made the same comparison to Don't Breathe, and I'm like, this is just lazy. Just because the same director doesn't mean it's the same type of film. It's absolutely not. And actually, I looked in Fede Alvarez's Instagram, and he's got all the original sort of graphic novels. There's a clear love of the film there. Every interview that he talks about, he's going into really great detail about how much he knows about this as a franchise. So there's obviously like love there. It's not, obviously, yes, he's getting paid, I understand that, but I just feel like some of the reviews are shitting on it for the sake of it, as opposed to actually appreciating what's done well. And there is loads of good stuff in it.
Well, it's clickbait, isn't it, a lot of the time?
Oh, yeah.
I saw there was a TV show I was watching called Vienna Blood. It was on BBC, and
I watched an episode of it.
Yeah, one of the main female characters in it is a reporter, and she was given a job to write stuff about the Hungarian, Austro-Hungarian sort of situation, the war and all this sort of stuff. And that was basically the older version of clickbait. It was really just like a headline to get people riled up. And it's, well, obviously clickbait is done so that they get hits onto a website and therefore get money from advertising. But yeah, it's very lazy, I think. It really is. You kind of get that some people are just doing it because it's not they hate it. I think they've got no interest in it, but just to write something and just to try and grab a headline and get people sort of following you and stuff like that. But I think it's not great, but that's the kind of situation we're in. A lot of time you see 10-star reviews and 1-star reviews on IMDb for stuff that hasn't even come out. But obviously they're starting to tackle that now by sort of staggering reviews and all that, so like you don't get like a glut of reviews before a film actually comes out, because it doesn't really help them if they're getting something that's getting like, you know, like 8 out of 10 and it's just all these made up reviews. So it doesn't actually do them a service, because people are going to go, well, I don't trust that. Don't trust IMDb, you know, I'll go somewhere else and find my ratings and stuff like that. So, yeah. It's the world we live in, unfortunately.
It really is. I think if something's a bad film, I think it's absolutely fine to critique what's bad about it. But none of these reviews are doing that per se. They're just saying it's shit and not really giving a reason as to why. Like, I'm really more than comfortable in reviews of saying something didn't work for me, and I'd be more than comfortable reading that as well. But I think unless there's like an actual explanation behind it, as opposed to it's just the popular thing to not like it, then
it's the basis of criticism, positive or negative. You make a statement, you back that statement up. You don't just
give
say,
an example of
exactly. You have some sort of context around it, and you may not agree with it, but if they've put forward an argument, then fair enough, rather than just saying it's shit. It's not like the best alien films, and you're going, you know, that's not really helpful, you know.
No,
judging its own merits.
Absolutely. And what's made me laugh is that everyone's like, oh, it's probably like the 4th best. So they're all giving their own wee ratings of where they think this fits in the whole franchise. And of course, everyone's got like a slightly different, like, well, I think Alien 3 was shit and I think this was better and all this. So even within that, it's like you can't even just have a preference of this is my favourite film in this franchise. It's like this is the accepted order that you must like them in, and not there's no room for negotiation, you know?
So what else you been watching? Anything interesting?
Got a wee list. So I finished Shogun, which emotionally ruined me, quite honestly. It was incredible. And we shout out to Dylan, who actually knows Simi, because he was like, you need to watch this, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's really my thing. And I was hooked from the outset. The costumes, the sound design, the score, all the politics that's going on, because obviously they're all fighting for who gets to be the Shogun. I absolutely loved it. So it's 10 episodes, about an hour to an hour and 15 each. So it's a commitment, and it's a commitment to watch it in the sense that this is not something that you can flick on your phone while you are paying attention, because allegiances swap all the time, and you know there's people at war and all this sort of thing, and you need to remember all the different houses that are all fighting each other. But I absolutely loved it. Like, I need season 2 now.
Well, you need to keep an eye on it as well, because it's mostly in Japanese as well. So there's not a lot of English in it. It'll be interesting to see what they do with season 2, because I think they covered the book in
they've done the whole book.
It's like unknown territory from here on out. So it was actually quite a surprise that they actually commissioned a second season of it. But yeah, all power to them. That sounds pretty good. So what else? What's on your list?
So I watched Speak No Evil, which was for Nordic Film Club, but I did want to watch that before the remake comes out. I saw the trailer for the remake before Alien Romulus, and I'm like, well, now I don't need to see the film, because it's told me everything. But actually, that was kind of not a divisive. Well, yeah, I would say it was a divisive film. There were certain people in the film club who thought it was great, and other people it wasn't scary enough. I felt so uncomfortable watching this film, and you know, this horrible situation where you're in somebody else's house and you don't really know them, and you're not quite convinced that everything's okay, but at the same time you don't want to be a rude house guest and say, were you looking at me last night while I was sleeping? Or, you know, I loved it. I thought it was really, really good, and actually the type of horror that I fully enjoy, because it's that kind of psychological sort of did that just happen sort of film. So there was that, and then I finished The Bear as well. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I binged, it's a Walter Presents thing with Gustav Skarsgård called Evil, which was a film, I think, maybe about 20 years ago. And he played the bully in it, and now he's playing a completely different role, but he's still horrendous in it. And that was like, I shouldn't have watched it all in one go, because I felt truly traumatized by it. But it's a very, very good program. So it's on that whatever Channel 4's streaming platform is called. It's all on there. Really, really good. And then I watched The Hypnosis, which is on Mubi, the actor from The Worst Person in the World.
Yep.
And if you like the sort of Ruben Ostlund, really so cringy that you're eating the inside of your face type of vibe, this is very much your film. It's about a couple who go to a startup pitch weekend, and obviously they're trying to sell their app, but the girl has tried to quit smoking, so she goes for hypnosis, and she behaves just fucking mentally the entire weekend. But you're not sure, but you're genuinely not sure if this is because of the hypnosis or not. And it's very, very well done. If you like your sort of satire, very dry, it's very good. Apart from that, I binged watched Love and Anarchy after we talked about, oh my God, A Man Called Ovi. I was going to say My Name is Ovi. That's not the film at all, because it's got some of the cast of that in it, which was a bit sexy in places. So I was like, oh, hopefully nobody walks past the window while I'm watching this, but very good. I don't really do rom-coms, but it drew me in. I really like that. But apart from that, I've mostly been reading. So my reading list has consisted of Clytemnestra, which is a Greek epic repositioning. Obviously, Clytemnestra, she is a sort of Spartan princess queen who is sort of known for behaving appallingly and having her children bumped off, and this sort of repositions her within Greek mythology and kind of paints a picture as to why she became the woman that she became. She was the sister of Helen of Troy, that sort of thing. So it was really, really interesting. I really liked that. I read Brotherless Night, which is about the Sri Lankan uprisings. It's by a Sri Lankan author whose name Vivi Ganeshanathan. Hope that's pronounced properly. And I also read Kairos by Jenny Erpenbeck, because there was a big display of it in Waterstones, and I'm very easily led. And that's about a couple's relationship breaking down in the old East Berlin at the exact same time the wall is coming down. It's just sort of about like kind of, it's a sort of abusive relationship, and it's obviously a very clear metaphor on what socialism did to its people and all that sort of thing and how things fall apart. So that's been pretty much it. I obviously rewatched the films we're going to discuss today, but I've not been very good at it. I've not really had enough time to properly like get into something else.
Yeah,
yeah. That's quite a lot since I last spoke to you, I suppose.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, it's a fair amount. Myself, I finished off the recent season of House of the Dragon, which was good. It was a bit of a slow burn season, and when you get to the end of it, you kind of go, wait, what is that it ended? Because the whole season just kind of sets up everything else is going to happen. There's another 2 seasons of it getting made, and I think there's going to be an awful lot of stuff happening in those ones.
Heads getting chopped off.
Yeah, there'll be all sorts of bits getting lobbed off in different programs, I would imagine. But it was interesting. It's like almost like a political game of chess. Like,
I do enjoy that.
So that was good. I did enjoy that. I believe a lot of people were a wee bit unhappy about it because it didn't have the same sort of impact as like certain seasons of Game of Thrones or even the first season of House of Dragons. So yeah, still good. On your recommendation, I started watching Cleo, which is very good. I'm really enjoying it. It's actually really funny in places, which I really, really liked. Plus, there's obviously like some very serious topics in there, like the miscarriage in the first episode. Thanks for pointing me in that direction.
Giving you spoiler warning.
Yeah.
It's
like, ooh, okay, thank you. But I'm really enjoying it. I've powered my way through most of the first season. I'm just going to keep go right through into the second season. But it's excellent stuff. Really, really enjoying it. I started watching Fallout as well. I don't know if I said that last time, but yeah.
Oh, what are you thinking?
It's really good. I'm enjoying it. I like the whole sort of world building thing because I've played a bit of the games, so I know a wee bit about the sort of the whole world and all of it and everything. But yeah, it was really good. A cracking opening episode, I thought, with the marriage and all this sort of stuff. It was very, very well put together, and it's like one of these things that's very Moorish because you go, oh, I want to see what happens next. I want to keep going. So yeah, it's funny games. And I've got a sort of extended list of stuff that I have sort of wanting to watch and things like that. Myself and Leslie tend to try and watch like at least one comedy on the go, at least one foreign language program, a crime drama, that kind of thing. So we're watching Mayor of Easttown at the moment, the Kate Winslet drama from a couple of years ago.
To school with the boy who plays, I think it's the priest or the reverend.
All right, okay. No.
He's actually Scottish. His name's James McArdle. I haven't seen that, but I remember seeing stills of it at the time and going, I know his face from somewhere. And then looking it up and going, oh, we were in Hamlet together. What the fuck happened to my life?
But that is very good. Really, really enjoying that.
What's that on? Is that Sky?
It's on Sky and Now. So I should have mentioned that House of the Dragon is on Sky as well, and Cleo's on Netflix for your delectation. And I've also been watching Crime, the Irvin Welsh penned drama. It was originally a film called Filth with James McAvoy in it.
Yeah.
He's turned it into a TV series with Dougray Scott in the lead role. The first season was shown last year, maybe the year before, and they've just commissioned the second one, and that's showing on STV and ITV Player and stuff like that. It's pretty decent. Set in Edinburgh, so there's lots of very broad Edinburgh accents in it. So it's good. It's actually a pretty decent programme. I'm quite enjoying it, but I read reviews of that on various media and they were slagging them off, but that was all non-Scottish ones. I don't think they kind of got some of the context of it, some of the humour of it, because it is quite funny in places as well.
I meant to say to you, at the film club thing, they were talking about the remake, and somebody said, I don't understand why they cast James McAvoy. Are Scottish people more scary? And because I got Chris to join us, the two of us were like, yes. Like really offended. Like, how dare you not know? Out of everyone in Britain, we are the more violent race of people.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense, I suppose, doesn't it? It's got to do with the way we speak sometimes.
Yes, allegedly so. I was going to ask, is the Dougray Scott thing better than Rebus? miles better. Yeah. I gave up on that. I was tempted to go back and just maybe I was wrong, but then I thought, no, I wasn't that wrong. Couldn't be that wrong. You were absolutely correct. I did about 20 minutes and I was like, this feels like when you go to an Amdram production at a local theatre, and not in a good way. Yeah.
Terrible stuff. So movie-wise, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Again, I've just been sort of catching up and stuff. I rewatched The Witch because obviously Nosferatu is due to come out in a couple of months' time. So I thought I'd go back and watch that one, and it still scares the bejesus out of me, I'm pleased to say, even on a second watch. I watched the original version of Operation Mincemeat, which was called The Man Who Never Was. It was made in the 1960s, and it's a very British stiff upper lip type of war drama. And the emphasis is all on getting getting a body and all this and getting it ready. And then suddenly it just goes, and then they dropped him in water and the Germans accepted everything and that was it. It was all okay. It was really, really weird that they didn't even concentrate on the sort of the last third of the story. It was just very bizarre indeed. I watched Civil War, the recent film.
The Alex Garland film.
Yes. It's very good, yeah. It's about reporters traveling to Washington during the middle of an American Civil War, where the president has declared himself president for the third term, and Texas and California have joined forces in order to try and depose the president, and it's like basically fighting all the way. And these reporters are trying to get to Washington with the presidents in order to get an interview with them, because nobody's interviewed them in such a long time, and it's a bit of a scoop. And it's like a famous photojournalist is part of the 4-man team that go in and all that. It's really good, nice wee story.
I think it was one of those films that was really divisive as well, because I think he came under criticism because he used actual footage of like right-wing sort of conspiracy theorists and stuff during it, I think. So I think he got a wee bit sort of, not savaged, but I think there was certainly comments on he'd given a platform to people whose views are obviously very extreme.
Yeah, and on the opposite end of that, he was actually lambasted by the left as well, saying it was
Cool. Of course he was.
and a piece as well, which it wasn't. It was kind of down the middle, but I think Alex Garland after that said, "Well, that's me. I'm not going to make a film for a while. I'm done with it," and then retracted it about 2 or 3 weeks later and just says, kind of taking it in the context, and I was being a grumpy at the time and stuff, you know. But yes, that was very good. Really enjoyed that. I've been watching a lot of stuff on Talking Pictures TV for some reason, because they're showing
Oh my God, you're
they show
addicted.
like a whole catalogue of old stuff. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So I watched Christine, the Stephen King
Right,
haunted car film, which was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
It was of its time, but it still kind of stands up. I watched the original version of The Fly as well, which it was excellent. It was really, really good. So different
Wow.
to the sort of David Cronenberg sort of gore fest version. It was a bit more polite. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that as well. And what else? Oh, there was a series of films featuring this character called the Lone Wolf, who was a sort of a reformed jewel thief, sort of a Raffles type of character. And there was a whole series of like reasonably short, I think they must have been like B movies and stuff. They were made like sort of 40s and 50s. And I caught one of those called The Lone Wolf Keeps a Date. It was about how he's helping this young woman out who's trying to sort of free her boyfriend for a crime that he didn't commit and all this. And it seems a wee bit like American version of like Sherlock Holmes, you know, the Basil Rathbone ones.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, so the wolf instead of Holmes, and they have this sort of eccentric sidekick partner and all this. I think it sort of smacks of that. And in the same vein, I watched The Woman in Green, which is a Sherlock Holmes film from around about that time as well, which was really good. Really enjoyed that. And I saw this 1972 conspiracy theory movie called The Ground Star Conspiracy, which was an excellent wee movie. Actually, it was about a man who escapes from this underground facility that's developing, I think it's technology for the space race, and he gets caught up in an explosion, and it turns out he's been trying to steal stuff from the facility in order to sell it. And it's George Peppard is the main sort of guy that comes in to try and sort things out. And the guy has got no memory and he's trying to get information out of him. So it is a very sort of film of its time. But it was a neat wee sort of conspiracy film and all that. And there's a couple of wee twists in there that you don't really expect as well, which was it's pretty decent. Good wee movie. I really, really enjoyed that as well. And last one was a Fritz Lang film from the early 50s called Human Desire, which was Glenn Ford and Gloria Graham, which is a nice wee film. It's about a guy who comes back from the Korea War and goes back to his job as a train engineer. And he gets mixed up in a situation where there's a murder on a train that he's traveling on, and he gets involved with the woman or the guy who actually carries out the murder. And it's a pretty neat wee film. It's only about 90 minutes as well, and passes the time very nicely, obviously being a bit of a Fritz Lang sort of thriller, noirish type of thing as well. So it's all good. Apart from that other stuff, books I've been reading, Hunter S. Thompson's Hell's Angels, which is an account of his time sort of traveling with the Hell's Angels. I think it was just over a year he spent with them. And that's excellent. Sort of the same sort of idea as some of his other books, like Hell, was it Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail and stuff like that. It was a sort of series of articles, if you like, and it's just about how he get totally involved in this sort of motorcycle club. And basically they took him in and he could watch and do anything that he wanted, and they didn't care what he actually reported on and stuff like that. So that was really good. And a biography called The Kid Stays in the Picture, which is a biography of producer Robert Evans, who he's famous for the guy who said, we want Marlon Brando to play Don Corleone in The Godfather. He was a producer. It came in during sort of New Hollywood, and he knew all these people, Jack Nicholson, like Pacino and Dustin Hoffman and all that. And he was basically the head of Paramount Pictures. And it's all the stories around his life and all that. He was married to Ali McGraw as well, who was obviously, one of the most stunning women from the 1970s and all that. And it's just like all these stories told from his perspective, but it's reasonably candid as well. He doesn't paint himself out to be like this really good guy or anything. It's all a bit, it can get a wee bit seedy at times as well. So, but it's a really good read. I read it years and years ago, and I think there was a document. No, I was thinking of Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. That was what I was thinking of. That was a novel, and there was a documentary made of that as well. But no, so yeah, that was all right. And give a wee shout out to What Presents, which was a photo exhibition that I went to on Saturday at the Toll Booth in Edinburgh. It's the rock photography of Harry Papadopoulos, who was a photographer for Sounds magazine in the 70s and 80s, and he was based for a large part in sort of central Scotland. So he took photos of all the sort of indie bands around about then, and a lot of artists who obviously appeared in Scotland as well. And it's like some lovely, like sort of black and white photos of him. It's quite a small exhibition. It was only 2 rooms, but it's chock full of all these memories from the 1980s and all that, and all these pop stars who look so young at the time. It's unbelievable. Like Claire Grogan, for instance, she just looks like she's 14 years old or something, and obviously like Edwyn Collins and all these people as well. So it's like a whole raft of folk, and it's excellent to look at that. And I think it's on at the Toll Booth until next month, and it's free as well. So
that's fantastic.
Good. Yeah, so that was all right. So yeah, so that's what I've been watching and consuming.
So you've braved the crowds in Edinburgh to go through.
Oh, it was Stirling. Sorry, it wasn't Edinburgh. It was Stirling.
I
went through to. We've got Historic Scotland passes that we got.
Nice.
2 years ago, I think it was, because we were going through to Edinburgh Castle, of all places, with our friends, and 2 tickets for it were going to be the best part of about 50 quid, and you could get an annual membership for about 75. So it kind of made sense to do that instead, and we just kept it up this year. So we went up to Stirling Castle on Saturday. Lovely. And the weather held. It was a nice day, and we went up and did that, and had a wee wander about Stirling as well. And as I say, that I knew that exhibition.
Oh yes, I saw you ate a Greg's.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even know what a Greg's is.
You lead such a sheltered life.
Was that your first time having a Greg's?
No. Enjoy a sausage roll now and again. Yeah.
I just thought it was all caviar at your house.
No. We do slum it sometimes. But yeah, I enjoy that sort of stuff. Also, I should obviously give a shout out to your lovely husband for the very nice surprise. When you said yesterday, Chris has got a surprise for you, I was kind of like, oh no, not another picture. You're a very lucky woman, Mary. Yeah.
Honestly,
blah, blah,
I've
blah.
told them to stop doing that to people because nobody wants them, not even me.
Yeah. It's only your signature move if people actually like it. But yes, he made me up a very, very interesting playlist, which I listened to last night. Gave me instructions on how to set up Spotify for it and everything about the crossfading and all that. So I did that and listened to it last night, and it's very, very good. I'm really very impressed, obviously, because somebody spent a bit of time and made up a wee mixtape.
He has been working on it for quite a while, and I'm not surprised that it came with instructions either.
No. Obviously, there's a wee bit of work has gone into it, so I was very grateful to it. And obviously, I sent him a couple of messages last night to say, thank you. You're so nice to me. It's really good. Thank you. So, yes. Yeah.
That's good. As I say, he has been working on it for quite a wee while. And I remember we were driving somewhere and I was like, can I be DJ? And I put on, obviously, all of the shite music that I like to listen to, none of that cool stuff that you and him listen to. And one of the first things he said to me was, "You've not got your crossfade on." And I was like, "My what?" I just listen to songs on this, mostly like ABBA or Aha and stuff like that. Crossfade doesn't really come into it. But because he actually curates all of his playlists to create a mood, and he wants certain songs to feed into each other, then he does take Spotify's not just like flinging songs on. It's like there's a way to do it, apparently.
Yep. It's fairly understandable.